Welcome everybody to American Love, Cooking Up Common Good. We are going through 10 states in 10 weeks and celebrating the stories, the history, the land, the people, and the food. America has so much to offer. And this week we are going to Colorado.
Right. The swing state this week is Colorado, and tonight we'll be making two dishes inspired by the cuisine and the people and the great state of Colorado. So the two things we're making a baked salmon with a yogurt sauce and a corn and green chili chowder. So the first thing that we're going to start is we're going to start with the salmon. Our salmon, the oven is preheated. That was that beep, if you heard it. We'll start with the salmon. We have a huge hunk of salmon here. Yeah,
so hang out with us. We will have a couple of videos. We'll have another installment of yoga and two short poems, very short, that go well with food. And then we'll take you to two things that we think are sometimes forgotten and they represent Colorado. So the first one is the salmon and water. When you go to Colorado, when you come to New York, it takes an average 7 minutes to people start talking about apartments. In Colorado, it takes about that much time to people start talking about water and water rights, and where there's water, there's no water, there's dry, the water is coming. Water is such a huge part of what it means to be in Colorado. And John Muir, whom I discovered in Colorado, who talks so much about national parks and who's responsible for establishing national parks in the United States, he said that the rivers flow not past but through us. The rivers flow not past but through us. That means that any separation between us and nature is an illusion, actually. We are part of everything and everything is part of us. Of all the states you go to, people in Colorado are so aware of that fact, that separation between us and animals and plants and the blue skies and the mountains is just an illusion. So to honor that, we will here have a salmon prepared, and the way we're going to do it is just take a big hunk of salmon like this, wild caught salmon. I like to salt it on the bottom just a little bit, and put it on this parchment with olive oil. That's it. And then, in order to prepare it for the oven, we have a mixture here of dill, parsley. We'll put juice of 1 lemon here. Juice of 1 lemon. 1 teaspoon of salt. Maybe you can double that. And a little more because of this.
Always shy with everything.
Yeah, and then about 1 teaspoon of freshly grounded pepper, right? And the olive oil, a lot of olive oil, and we just mix that. Oh, look at that. Oh. So this is very herby, very like acid and salty, and has this fresh pepper. And this salmon doesn't need anything else. It's as simple as that. So we'll just load it up from the top here like this while we are waiting for the oven to warm up. You can have this stay for 5 minutes like that before putting it in the oven, or a couple of minutes just to soak in like that. So that's the first part of preparing the salmon. The trick of this salmon is there's no like big spices, big burning, some sort of, hunting for the umami kind of thing. It's all mild and herbs, and the fire is pretty low. It's 275, and usually salmon is done quickly, but this one, we will take it a little longer, and that's why we placed it here at the beginning of the show so that we can so you just pour all this olive oil is going to soak in nicely, and I'm just going to pull this paper a little bit out so that olive oil doesn't spill over the edges. Like that. See? So olive oil is preserved nicely, like in a little bath. See? Because if you have edges up, it's not going to escape. Great.
Awesome.
Have the honor, yes.
Okay. Thanks. Awesome.
Okay, so that's working. So the other dish that we want to do is chowder with corn and green chilies. You know, when you go to Colorado, I was really surprised how much of influence there is from New Mexico. People love Mexican food there, and then I'm an outsider. I don't know about Centennial State, that Colorado actually became part of the Union 100 years into the history, and that Mexicans and Pueblans there, that they brought irrigation system there that saved so many farms and saved the economy in a special way there, because they knew how to transfer water, how to preserve it. And also when you get there, surprisingly, there's a lot of people love corn, and then I realized there's a lot of corn there as well. So we were thinking, what can we prepare? And then I went through the book America the Cookbook and found inside the guide for the recipe that we have here. It's by Gabrielle Renholtz, if you want to check it out. So this soup is chowder, and chowder is such an American thing, you know. We when we go to Croatia, when we go every year, and whenever I travel, nobody knows about chowder, and it's not quite anything like anywhere else. It's not. It has like a different consistency and different. It's always milky, and so what we want to do with this one is really bring out corn and really bring out green chilies and not obstruct that with anything else. So here, what we have done, we got these corn cobs, about 5 of them, and you just peel the corn like this from them, not peel, kernel, yeah. You just cut it out, and then you have these cobs, and then you cook those cobs. So that's what we did here, and it's warm, if you can see it here. So these were cooked for half an hour. So we just take these out and we discard those. They've been used for this. And then we fire it up. Okay. And then here, maybe I'll just bring it here so we can see it better.
Just to clarify, that was cooked in there for half an hour. We're just reheating it, but
yes,
it's got all that.
Yeah.
Flavor.
So what we're going to put here is potatoes that we cut in the dice like this. We will then this corn you can pour in. 4 cups of milk. I guess that's the chowder. So that's the chowder part of chowder. And then there is a heavy cream here. That's 1 cup. A little bit more than 1 cup, I would say. So we'll just put this to boil. And so now you see how the cob and the fresh corn, that's all going to now in this milk bubble and simmer and get all this sweetness exchanged. And while that is happening, we have Ali sent us a video today from Colorado, and Ali's one of our chefs, and she traveled to Colorado, and here's her little hello from her.
Hey everyone, Ali Malafronte from Atlanta, Georgia. I have been dispatched to the beautiful state of Colorado for this week's episode. Samir is cooking up 2 wonderful dishes from Colorado, corn chowder and salmon dish, which I will be attempting to imitate later in the week, and we will talk about it on Thursday night's show. This state is absolutely stunning. I have never been out here before, and the people are so wonderful. I've met so many from the surrounding area. Unfortunately, I've met them on Zoom through these weeks due to the circumstances. But I hope you're enjoying tonight's show on the swing state of Colorado, and we will see you on Thursday. Thank you.
So what's so charming about Colorado? I mean, there are so many things to distract you that are so beautiful. And I was thinking about that for a couple of weeks and reading and different people who travel there. And it seems to me that the most beautiful thing about Colorado is that wherever you are, whenever you are in a close touch with wilderness. You are always in touch with species other than ourselves, looking you in the eye. I know how many times I go out of the house and there's deer and there's elk and there's all kinds of animals there. And the skies, the bluebird skies without a cloud, the mountains, the landscape, it's just breathtaking, how much wilderness there is. And John Moore also said, thousands of tired, nerve-shaken, over-civilized people are beginning to find out that going to the mountains is going home, that wildness is necessity. And I was thinking, why is wildness necessity? It reminds us that this planet has more than just us, that we share this planet with other species, and that the wildness we cannot control, neither outside nor inside ourselves. And nowhere is that so visible in so many ways as in Colorado. So think about those things as you cook. That a lot of things we do actually are sourced from wildness and from something that's not controllable to us, and that everything we do we share with other species. So we are not alone, and that's a new thought. It was a new thought for me when I first was vegetarian for 4 years, where I was thinking about that a lot. So right now we have on our notes Chowder Part 2. Chowder Part 2 is?
Okay, so for this next part, we are going to put in, I think what we're really doing with this next part is putting in the corn flour and the chilies. So the first thing we're going to do is just melt some butter on a pan. And we got about a cup of diced purple onions, and we'll put that into the melted butter. I can do that, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm the sous chef here. But yeah, once we'll let that melt for a minute, and then we'll add this corn flour to it to make it like creamy and soft, and then we'll add that mixture to the broth.
So notice how we keep pounding on our corn thing. In most of the recipes I've seen the wheat flour coming in here, and I decided, no, we're not going to do that. It's kind of a mixture of grains, and we really want to stick with the corn. So instead of having two spoons of wheat flour, I decided to put 3 spoons of the corn flour because it absorbs less water. So chilies now, these are important. Whichever ones you have, you can have chilies, poblanos, serrano, jalapenos, even green pepper. I found poblanos and serrano, which is really, really hot. My hands are still burning from this, from peeling them. Here's what you do with chilies. You just put them on the aluminum like this, put them in a small toaster oven or a big oven, put them on broil, and keep turning them until they all get dark and kind of black, charred on the outside. Then you just fold them like this, cover them, and leave them for 15 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, you can open it, peel them, and de-seed them. Take the seeds out. I suggest you put the rubber gloves for that if you have. And then, so these are the chili peppers that are full of this charred flavor. So what we're going to do is mince them real small, and they'll be part of the soup. So right now, as you can see here, we are waiting for this onion to get translucent and soft, coming back to this beautiful flavor of butter and onion together. And then we will just put the corn and brown it and wait until it's gets a little golden take from the fire here, and then we're gonna bring things together. So I wanted to also honor Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver, for those of you who are into poetry and follow literature, she was the queen of the environmentalism and arts, bringing it together. And it is one of those people that that you find yourself so lucky to find out. And I never heard of her when I was in Croatia, but when I came to the United States, I really loved it. And those of you who don't know her, you are missing. So, but I don't want you to miss too much. So here's a poem from her. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Over and over announcing your place in the family of things. See, what's beautiful about kitchen and cooking is that you realize every time you do it that you are part of family of things, that you belong to every living being around you, and every living being belongs to you, and you are needed and wanted in this world to make your contribution. I always remind myself when I cook, I remind myself of that fact. So think about wild things in your life as you come in touch with the wildness of the cuisine. And now we will come in touch with the wildness of these green chilies here. So how does that look like?
You tell me. Should it be more brown?
Yeah, you can kind of
increase the heat.
Yeah, increase the heat, and you can. I love these two tools. They are so good because they have a flat bottom, so it's easy to move through the bottom. Those are the best tools, and they don't scratch anything, so it's easy to toss things around and thoroughly swipe the bottom of anything that's. See. So this is now getting drier and drier, and we are actually waiting for this corn to start actually changing the color a little bit. And then when it starts to change color, that's it. That's the signal that's done. So
we'll put it into the broth.
Then we'll put it into the broth, and also we can put this in a broth. So since my hands are already spicy and hot, I'm just gonna do this. And so this can be diced in any way you like, but there's a lot of chili here. There's one green pepper because green pepper would add a flavor of green pepper and bitterness that is really the best in a green pepper. But there's also hot. So all in all, it's going to be sort of medium to very hot. So to dice it, we just go in this direction lengthwise. And once that is done, the way we like it, then one more time. And bring it together. And then this way, as much as you think, as big as you want. So it's like that. And then at the edges a little bit here. That's it. So this is ready to go into the soup. Look at that.
What do you think of this? Getting there?
Yeah, one more turn and then it's ready. Okay. Very easy recipes. And I would like to invite you not to complicate these recipes. You know, sometimes people say, why don't you put chicken stock? Or why don't you add red chilies? Or why don't you... It is so important in cooking that you do not put what's not needed. And that you go through sort of a minimum viable ingredients. Because whatever we add, we will take away from the green chilies if we add sweetness of the red chilies. We don't want that. We want it kind of a little bitter from the green chilies. You can also improvise, and instead of green chilies put red chilies, and instead of lime at the end you put fire roasted tomato, but then that's a completely different dish. Also with this salmon that is in the oven, there is a beautiful part about it, that it is mild. I've never seen Americans eat plain yogurt a lot in a savory food mixed with vegetables. It's a very big staple ingredient in the Middle East and other parts of the world. But here in Colorado, somehow, you know, yeah, that's what we do, that's what we eat. And those of you who are in Colorado and don't do that, maybe you should maybe ask your neighbors if they do. I found out that it is something that indeed happens. So now we're gonna mix the yogurt, right? Oh, this is done. This is ready.
This is good? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking.
So we will just put this on a bigger thing here and pour this in, and that's it. So now this needs to boil. It's perfect. Maybe we should check on the oven. Do you see the camera there in the oven?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Good.
Yeah. I think we need to resort to a little bit of speeding up here. Okay, so we have...
So the next thing is to make the yogurt sauce. I'm going to get a new cutting board since you said this was spicy. So I'll get out
Okay, while you are putting this yogurt together, I was going to share my experience about first time in Colorado as you are mixing here. I was in the seminary. At one point in my life, I was studying theology and I was going to be a minister and a pastor in a church. And I was really taken up by the concept of divine and holy, that the world has purpose and that the world is bigger than ourselves and that we are here to serve and that there's meaning to our lives and that there's story to the beginning and the end. And when I was in the seminary, my family came from Tuscany. These are my relatives that I would spend my summers with and learn to cook in Tuscany. But this time they came to the United States, and my three cousins and their parents, and we went in a van, do the American road trip. And we went from Michigan to California and back, and we had everything scheduled. I scheduled every hour in advance because I was responsible for the trip. And so we wanted to see everything. And when we came to Rockies, we were just so unprepared to what was going to happen to us. Driving, up there and stopping, and on the first scenic stop, when we got out of the van, kind of stretching, going out and seeing the valley, it was a jaw-dropping experience. It was something that when I think about it, I tear up because we were just silent, all of us, for like an hour, just milling around. That we have this sight of wilderness, this far, this clear, this beautiful. And then we would go with a car, and there would be hundreds of people will, watch a bear or 3 miles away move somewhere, and everybody would be on the edge of their, telescopes and looking at that. And it was so impactful for us that we stayed there for 2 days and messed up our trip. I mean, it was completely, it was such a surprise. It was for me sort of like a conversion, because I realized that wilderness is as beautiful as holiness. That if this world is just wild, it is so beautiful as though it is divine. It doesn't matter whether it is wild or holy or both. It was sort of a conversion of a Christian minister into believing into the world as it is. In the world as it is. And I never cease to feed my heart and soul that experience. So, with that story, we are back in Rockies and honoring the memories we have of contact with wilderness here. So, what are we putting over this fish?
So yeah, this is the yogurt sauce to go with the salmon. So in this bowl right here, we've already placed a lot of yogurt, a little bit of sour cream, and then a little bit of mayonnaise as well. So basically, it's really easy. We're just gonna mix all the ingredients, right, and then let it chill. So we have some diced cucumbers. Should I just go for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So we've got diced cucumbers, diced onion. A little bit of garlic, chopped up. Do you want to squeeze out lemon in here? And then this
half a lemon.
Half a lemon. And then what we have here, dill and
parsley.
Okay. And then I think we are just add a little salt.
Yeah, I would put maybe half a teaspoon. And also like a half teaspoon of black pepper. And that's it. So this sauce here needs to sort of chill and spend, at least 5 minutes. But you can put it in the fridge. It can be for 2 days. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Whatever is left, there's many ways to use this. You can't make too much. Even if you just eat this with bread. Or any kind of a salty pastry would be, it's perfect. So now we have Shelly again, and I'm so excited. Shelly Paget is our yoga teacher of yoga teachers, and there's one rule with Shelly that I have in my life is whatever Shelly says, I do. Like if Shelly says it, I do it. If Shelly wants to hug me, I'm there. It is just if I can catch any minute with her. So she's been so kind, and she is going through. She's having a yoga teacher school, and they're wrapping up. And she sent this video today. We are going to talk about 4 elements for the rest of our weeks, and today we want to introduce one and beginning to ask you to think about those elements that are way more essential than any division that we have in the world. Those elements are so essential that everything else dissolves in terms of difference between human beings and between states and who we are. So it's always good to ground ourselves in those elements. So thank you, Shelly, for introducing us to this.
Hey American Love folks, my name is Shelly Paget. I'm in my kitchen in Minneapolis where we're doing lots of cooking during these COVID days. I'm going to talk to you today just a little bit about the elements. Samir will go into many more details about how the elements are present in all of our cooking and all of our food preparation. I'd like to talk just a little bit about how the elements are present in our body. And today we'll talk about the element of fire. So I just heated up some water in my tea kettle. I've got my favorite Mr. Rogers mug and tea. I'm going to pour this boiling water over the tea just for nice effect. I'm going to bring this over. Maybe you can see the steam rising, and certainly if you can't see it in my mug, you can see it in yours. So as this tea steeps while we're here, I want to talk about how all of the elements are present in the body and how we can actually manipulate the breath in the body in order to increase or decrease these elements depending on what we desire. So the element of fire, maybe here you can see this starburst or sunburst on my shirt. I work at Yoga Sanctuary in Minneapolis. The element of fire is present in all of us. And so I'll talk about digestion first. So the area of the abdomen, think about your digestive fluids and all of the things that it takes to actually digest the food that we intake, to use some of it as energy and then to let go of some of it in terms of releasing the toxins out of our body. So that is a big element of fire in the body. Another is in our mind. So when you think about when you have an idea, or there's a brightness, or that idea of seeing a light bulb going off in your head. So the quicker our minds are, the quicker we're thinking, and the more connected we are to the thought patterns of our mind, is also a way to build the fire in our minds. Another place is in our emotions. Maybe you, like me, have had outbursts of anger. Maybe it happens more than what you'd like to say. So fire in our emotions can be really great. You could use it for vote common good, and you could put your energy and your fire toward fighting for justice and the common good. That's a great thing to do. You might also find, if you don't deal with the fire in your body, the fire in your emotions, that it comes out sideways. And then that's kind of disastrous for everybody. It leads to really unhealthy thinking and unhealthy behavior. So today we're going to feel and find fire in our body. Of course, there's so many other ways that fire is in us. But first, let's feel it in our body. So if you're cooking right now or whatever you're doing, I invite you to take a break from that. And we're going to find a posture called chair pose. It's also called awkward pose, and you might feel that in just a minute. So if you separate your feet so they're hip width, thinking about where your hip bones are and going straight down. From there, we'll bring hands to your chest. In yoga, we would call this your heart center. And take a breath in, push into your feet, feel the crown of your head lifting. And as you breathe out, push your hips back and bend your knees. And then look down, make sure your knees are behind your toes. Keep your hands at your heart. We're going to take another breath in here. As you breathe out, sink the hips just a little bit lower. And feel here that you're drawing the belly in. This is building your fire, and you're not rounding the back nor arching the back. You just have that nice natural curve of the back. Shoulder blades are coming back and down the back. And I would invite you to stay here for 3 to 5 deep breaths. And if this is not challenging for you, lift your arms up and overhead and take 3 to 5 breaths with the arms overhead. You might deeply breathe in, relaxing or opening the belly, and breathing out, feel the navel drawing in toward your spine. Do that 2 more times. Nice and steady. Maybe you can do it with a smile on your face. And 1 more time. Maybe you feel the fire burning. Lower the hips a little bit more. And then when you breathe in, press through the feet, lift your arms, stand up. And breathing out, lower the arms down by your sides or in front of you. Take a breath, shrug your shoulders. Maybe shake it off. So if you've got extra energy to burn, doing something like a chair pose is a great idea. We also sometimes, when our emotions, this is great with kids, when our emotions feel really big, we can access the breath. So with kids, we call this volcano breath. When you have this abundance of fire or heat in your body, anger, passion, whatever it might be, we can release that out the breath. So this is called volcano breath. With your thumbs at your heart center, we'll take a breath in, reach the hands toward the sky. As you breathe out, open arms wide and blow it out your mouth. I'm going to do that twice more. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, open your arms, blow it out your mouth. Last one, inhale. Exhale. And before I leave you with this element of fire, bring your hands to your heart for just 1 more moment. This might take some vulnerability, which also takes fire, it takes passion. Let your eyes set on one steady gaze and use the fire of your eyes to illuminate whatever is in front of you. Feeling this gift of fire in your body so you can see more clearly, so you can digest more easily, and so you can feel the feelings in your body without harming other people. Because we all know that fire can create life and fire can also burn us up. So I hope that you'll use your fire inside and outside for the benefit of others and for the common good. Peace be with you.
That was good.
Fire in the belly. So thank you, Shelly. That was beautiful. You can always reclaim kitchen as your yoga studio, studio of life, place of transformation, where transformation happens. And I bet Shelly came with a lot of these ideas while she was cooking. So try it at home. Do whatever Shelly does. So soup. Soup is boiling wildly here, and almost there. I think it's time to try it now.
Yay!
So here we go, and we'll see if we need more salt or if it's just too hot to be edible.
Yeah, I might have to wait a moment. Yes, more salt.
Definitely more salt.
Okay. I have to say, you taste the corn and you taste the peppers.
But
For sure.
But what do you taste the most?
Are you making a joke because it's really hot? Yes. It's pretty spicy. It's pretty spicy, but the first thing I tasted was the sweetness of the corn. And then I was like, oh, there are some peppers in here, for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it needs more salt.
Okay, I'm going to try it again because I didn't catch the potato. Oh. Still more salt. Okay.
I like the kernels in there too.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking for myself, like, where do I come across wild things? Like, where is my contact with wilderness? Here in New York City, in Harlem, you go outside, and fortunately, we are a couple of minutes from Central Park. So if I don't go to Central Park, when I go to Central Park, I have my favorite spot. That's where I do yoga when the weather is okay. It's in a hill, hidden place, and there's trees. And the picture I see when I lie down in Shavasana, here's what I see. I see these, tops of the tree. But in New York, you feel like a mouse between cars. Like, there's so much asphalt and so much metal around. And my contact with the wilderness is that the picture I took today, it's this thing. It's a bird dropping on a street. That's pretty as wild as it gets, many days. And then, I have my favorite spot in the north part of Central Park. It's called Rumble, and they have put a fence, and they left the place go wild. And it's a pretty large area. They actually have any manicuring, any action by humans in that space. And so I took a picture of that space. You see these little flowers, and it's green, and it's beautiful. And when leaves fall off, there's a huge trees, amazing, like these big buildings we have. And I gave name to each tree. One of them is my wife. That's the nicest one. It's pretty strong. And then I have like other parts of my life, family and things. And I sometimes get into this daydreaming about what is this wilderness about. But notice when I pull back just 3 steps, there is a fence there, right? Actually, I can't step in it. That fence is the closest I can get to wilderness in New York City. And I want to invite you to go out and see how far you need to go to find something wild. A wilderness, a reminder that the world is bigger than human beings and that we are part of something and that we are there to participate and be custodians of things and protect and preserve. I think, I just got so immersed with the quotes of John Moore, and he says, on one point, he says, "The battle for conservation must go on endlessly. It is part of the universal warfare between right and wrong." I mean, think about that. It is a part of universal warfare between right and wrong. Oh, I have chills just knowing that we are, that is our responsibility. That is like a war to protect our other species. And so I want to invite you to think of Colorado in those ways. It's a very important state for the November elections in so many ways. And we will discuss that on Thursday. You can join us. And we will have a special music from a Colorado couple, and they will sing a Clash song that was actually arranged by Annie Lennox. So that would be fantastic. Join us on Thursday, and we will talk food, wilderness, politics, and just the sheer kindness of people in Colorado, and see, what we can learn and what we can do and whom we can contact and what are our, avenues to make an impact as we are living here together through, as all these states in one union. So now it's time to try, right?
Okay.
Okay.
How's the salmon looking?
Well, we'll see. So with salmon, you just take, most important thing about salmon is not to overcook it. You're better off undercooking than overcooking. Because when it's overcooked, it goes dry. And when it's cooked just right, it gives its best. It's creamy and buttery. Okay, just leave it for a couple more minutes and we'll try soup and show you how it's served. Okay. All right. I think we can, yeah, that's good. So this is the chowder. An American experience.
Yeah. Chowder, an American
Burger,
experience.
chowder. So, look at all these ingredients, how great they are. So let's serve two next to each other.
Okay.
Just so that. All right. So this is gonna cool down. So it's burnt green pepper, mildness of potato and corn, and the milky, comforting aroma there. So now we're gonna layer that a little bit more and open it up. So it's sweet and hot and fatty and spicy. So what we want to do is bring a little herb and a little bit of crunchiness and even another layer of milky comfort without taking away, without overpowering it. So we have a little bit of cilantro we put just to make a contrast, not to take over. And then we put some green onion to give you a break in between, like when you're eating it, it gives you sort of a relief from milk in your mouth, clears it up, and then you can taste it again, and you just keep exchanging like that. And then we put some of the lime on top, just some drops on the top like this, again for contrast. It doesn't even need to be mixed inside. That's that. And then Yes. This is queso fresco, which is fresh cheese. So you just put it on top, and it cools it down nicely. Helps you deal with this hotness of the pepper, and this is pretty salty as well. So that's that. Do you want to try?
Sure.
I think you participated, so.
The camera girl is back.
There you go. Let's see.
It smells really good. You can smell the corn.
I mean, look at these
You can
colors.
smell the corn.
Oh.
I love the cheese on top. It's spicy.
I
But
like
you get
the
it later.
spiciness.
But it's like such a layer. Like first it's a sweet corn.
All
That
right.
is good.
In this home, we cook a lot. Every day, this is a crazy place. This kitchen, over and over again. Letta is instructor in cooking, so she's booked with programs teaching cooking. Children. And
Copied me.
yeah.
I did first.
Meanwhile, I'm in here baking the same cake every week. Yeah.
We discovered an amazing cake. It's just one of the best cakes in the last 5 years, hands down, that we have found. And it's coming in the program soon.
Wait for it.
That is so good.
So here we go. Now the Gren salmon.
I was able to put this yogurt in the fridge for a little, so that will be a nice contrast.
All right, here's how that looks. And then we have a little bit of chives here. This is just to give it still more color contrast, and it also flows well with the onion that's already inside, so we're not introducing any new flavors. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had salmon like this with grease like that.
Okay, so yeah, me neither. So we'll see. About half of the dishes we do here, we do it for the first time, just to, practice what we preach.
Yeah.
Take risks, try, learn. There's no failure, only learning. And let's try this piece from the back.
And that's why we have to try it.
Oh yeah, this is done.
It's good.
This is done. All right,
You can just share this if you want.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll just put on this. So here's how we are planning to do this. So salmon is hot. This has been chilled. You just put this on the side. Like that. And then a little bit of chives on the top here to add the fresh part to it.
Yum.
Okay.
I don't know if we need a knife, but go ahead. You go first.
Yeah, so if we cut a piece of salmon here that is still I can hear it here.
It's hot.
And then this cold yogurt, and it just needs to stay together for a second. Don't throw away the skin. Skin is good.
I love the skin.
Yeah, skin is good and healthy. Oh. No carbs, notice that. Those of you who are aware of it.
It's good.
Okay. Well,
It's good.
So that's it. Salmon, slow cooked salmon with yogurt, sauce, and corn and green chili chowder from Colorado in honor of wilderness and us belonging to something larger than ourselves. And we need an invitation to find that in your neighborhood and to think about Colorado as we move to November. Contact your friends and family there and tell them that they're smart and that they know what they're doing, and encourage them to be themselves. So, and on Thursday we will connect. You just follow the prompts there and we will get together.
Yeah, just go to AmericanLove.kitchen and register if you want to get the recipes. You can make it yourself. Yeah.
Recipes are coming tomorrow morning, so
We love you, Colorado.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Go wild.
Talk to you on Thursday.